Hey there, and welcome back to Entrepreneurship 101. This is episode 11, and today we're going to be talking about going over why an entrepreneur fails to scale. When entrepreneurs can't meet, and what this really means is, what I'm referring to is when entrepreneurs are not able to properly meet the expanding demands and needs of their businesses when they are attempting to expand and broaden the scope of their business, of their company, or of their service. So there are actually four main tendencies and trends that often get in the way of CEOs during this period of time when they're trying to expand their businesses. First of which has to do with the loyalty to team members. A CEO that is overly loyal to others, right, on their team and their employees can actually, in the long run, be detrimental to the growth of the business, because these leaders oftentimes, in particular, are not able to see and respond adequately to the weaknesses within the team or directed towards a particular team member. You know, in the startup environment, in the startup community, the, the culture, the environment, the camaraderie amongst the team, right, is one of the best parts of the entrepreneurship and of the startup world. But as a CEO, when you're trying to take it to the next step and really trying to expand your business, you can't. You need to change. You need to adapt, right? I talked about in previous episodes how entrepreneurship is all about adapting, right? Adapting to your situation. Well, in this situation, as a CEO of a company that's really trying to go to the next step, you need to adapt, and you need to realize that camaraderie, right? That closeness, that loyalty that was once a strength and a plus, it still needs to be there, but not to the same degree, right? You need to be able to make decisions that are not. You need to make sure that you're not being overly biased, right? Pro-bias towards particular employees because they've been there since day one. You need to make decisions that are in the best interest of the company as a whole, rather than particular relationships you may have or individuals on a team might have with one another. Secondly, second issue or trend is task orientation. So this is when a CEO pays too much attention to detail. Many CEOs get actually overly obsessed with detail, which is very harmful when trying to expand a business. While this trait is very beneficial for many entrepreneurs, right, when they're starting a startup, right, you want to be focused and lasered in on one detail. Once again, you need to be able to adapt. When you're the CEO of a company trying to expand, you can't do this, right? Your job as a CEO is to keep in mind the longer term, right, the bigger picture. You need to be able to. You don't want to be pinpoint. You don't want to be thinking about pinpoint on one detail. You want to think about where you're going to be in 3 months. You want to think about where you're going to be in 6 months. You want to think about where you're going to be the next year. And in order to do this, you need to have a good sense of what's happening internally and externally within the company. And to be able to do this, you got to keep your head up, right? And so it's interesting. Again, you'll see with all these, it's interesting how at one point in the entrepreneurial journey, all of these things, most of them were positive. They were pros. They were maybe what led you to be a successful entrepreneur in the first place. But now, once you're the CEO and you're leading the company, you need to change, right? You need to change with your company. You need to change with your business. The third point I'm talking about is single-mindedness. So entrepreneurs are known for developing a certain tunnel vision. But CEOs that have this trait often struggle to have successful communication with their employees and their workmates. What will happen if this is recognized by those individuals is that they'll begin to lose trust in the company's leadership, and that is absolutely the last thing you can have happen. Because when you start to lose trust in leadership, it begins to affect your work, and it begins to affect that culture that we talked about being so important to the success of a company. And really, in the long run, this really becomes crippling towards a business's ability to expand. Lastly, entrepreneurs often like to work in isolation. This is actually par for the course within the entrepreneurial world. But as a leader of a company, it's a terrible trend. You can't be working in isolation. You're in charge of what's happening in the company and outside of the company. How are you going to do that if you're off? If you've sidelined yourself, right? You need to be the point person. You need to be the person on the front of the line. And so this tendency of entrepreneurs to want to isolate themselves when they're really deep in work, it's detrimental. It's detrimental to the success of the company as it stands currently, and then also as a standard you're trying to expand. So those are the 4 trends, and again, it's interesting, like I was saying, how you gotta, as a company changes, as a company gets larger, you have to change with it, and if you don't, these trends will catch up to you, and the next thing you know, you won't, not only will you fail to scale, but it will have a negative impact on where you stood before you attempted to expand. So that is all for episode 11. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.